Okay. All right. So, welcome to Finding Home Atlanta. We're here, the Zone 4 Police Chief Major, make sure I say this correctly, Carven Tyus. Is that correct?
There you go.
Very good. Major Carven Tyrus. He is our Zone 4 Police Chief. And today, this is just a good way to introduce him to you and you to him. Find out a way that as citizens, we can partner with the Zone 4 Police force and help our communities be safe. And so I have a couple questions. We're just going to kind of go through it and have a good time here. So, Major Tyus, how did you first get into law enforcement?
So good question. So first of all, let me give you a background about myself. I've been in law enforcement 27 years now. I was born and raised in Barnesville, Georgia, probably about 50 miles south of here, small, quaint town. Graduated high school in 1986, and I joined the United States Marine Corps at that point. Fast forward maybe to 1991, I was stationed at Dobbins Air Force Base, and I was responsible for a couple of reserve units. And a lot of my reserve officers were Atlanta police officers. And one of the guys was Sergeant Charlie Horton, who was a homicide sergeant at the time. And he knew I was getting close to getting out, man. And he was just like, hey, man, you really, really need to transition to, law enforcement. It's paramilitary. You'll enjoy it. And it offers you the same thing other than the deployments, which I was tired of. I was just ready to have some roots. So I was like, okay, great. I applied for APD in June of 1993. I got hired October 19th, 1993 is when I started the Atlanta Police Academy. So that's kind of how I got into the law enforcement field. I segued out of the United States Marine Corps straight into police work.
Quite a story. That's good stuff to know. um, so I've learned that you've worked at a couple of different police precincts during your tenure at with the APD. How was Zone 4 different from other precincts you served in?
So all the precincts are similar in nature, and yet they're all completely different. So one of the things I'll tell you about Zone 4 precinct is we have a lot of legacy members in our community out here, meaning people who've been here 50 plus years that live in our community. And we have a lot of what we call our VIP residents that make Zone 4 their home. So that's kind of where we're unique. And I mean, so when you start talking about Atlanta, you start talking about the civil rights capital of the South. And so I'm proud to say, hey, I had, God rest his soul, Reverend Lowry lived out here in Zone 4. Ambassador Young continues to live out here in Zone 4. And Hank Aaron lived in Zone 4 prior to his death a week or so ago. I currently have the Atlanta police chief that lives in Zone 4. I have the current sheriff that lives out here in Zone 4. I have several of the council members that live in Zone 4, along with the mayor of Atlanta. So when I tell you, when you move to the Zone 4 area, it is just rich in tradition out here. I mean, you name it, we have it out here in Zone 4. You can start with our West End community, and you can go all the way down to the Camp Creek Marketplace, and everything in between. You have an influx of whatever you want to see. We have some of the Beltline, and so we have probably one of the most diverse communities you're going to find within the 6 zones in Atlanta. So, we have African Americans, we have whites, we have Latinos, we have everybody. We have the rainbow right here in Zone 4. And that's just kind of what makes it unique here. It just depending on what end of the city you're on is the flavor that you're going to get. So,
Yeah.
we have the infamous Greenbrier Mall here for shopping. And again, the Camp Creek Marketplace. And of course, we know how rich in tradition the West End area is and what that means to our community. So yeah, so Zone 4, if you're looking for a place to live and a place for diversity, you cannot beat the Zone 4 space.
Wow, that's a ton of good information. I actually speak on some of those points, but some of the notables that you mentioned with all the city council members, Hank Aaron, those are, well, I knew about Hank Aaron, but I didn't know all those people did live in this area. So that's excellent information, and the way you
Well,
describe.
right, that's huge that these people chose to make this area their home.
Yeah.
You know, this quadrant of the city their home here. So that speaks volumes for the Zone 4 space.
Yeah, excellent place to live. So with our citizens moving into Zone 4, and those that are already currently residing and have been legacy members, how can citizens partner with your department to help keep the community safe and a good place to live in?
So one of the biggest things we have are our NPUs, neighborhood planning units. Zone 4 is divided into several grids, and all those grids fall into neighborhood planning units. And so once a month, myself or my captain, the assistant zone commander, Captain Ken, meets with these people. And unfortunately, it used to be in person, but now it's via Zoom. We meet with the community leaders and we kind of discuss what issues we're having, and kind of what our solutions are. But more importantly, it gives us a chance to hear from our community. So the biggest way the citizens can partner with us is kind of by being the eyes and ears for us where we can't be. I would love to have a police officer put on every block in Zone 4, but unfortunately, we just don't have the manpower for that. But I give everybody my cell number and I give everybody my email. So if you're seeing something in real time, if they send me an email, hey, Major, I'm hearing gunshots, random gunfire out here at night. I can come out and have somebody address that issue versus, you just letting it go unchecked. So that is the biggest way we want the citizens to partner with us, by being additional eyes and ears for the police department.
Got you. That's excellent. That personal touch. You don't find that, or even I wouldn't even expect that in most places or in most situations, that you would give your personal cell phone, your personal email, so that citizens can have that direct link to you. So that's awesome, and we really appreciate that. So besides the number that you give out, what techniques are you using to keep our citizens informed about projects, problems, or issues that affect our community?
So one of our biggest things is our social media platform that we rolled out. Our director, Shada Spikes, runs our public information office. And so they're huge about putting stuff on Twitter, Facebook, anything that we have coming up, we post it on our social media sites. And also we try to post things on Nextdoor Neighbor. So people have several options. They can look at Facebook, they can look at Twitter, or they can go to Nextdoor Neighbors. And those are the biggest ways we try to keep the citizens informed as to what's going on real time, by pushing that information out to our public information office, and they then distribute it on all our social media platforms. So, whether you don't like Twitter and you like Facebook, or you don't do either one of those and you just want to go Nextdoor Neighbor, we push the information out on all the platforms. And more importantly, when we're having roll call in the morning, when the officers come in, the information trickles down from myself to the captains, to the sergeants and the lieutenants, and they disseminate that information to the beat officer that's going out in the community. So we expect our beat officers to have dialogue with our citizens and also be able to let them know what's going on face to face. Because realistically, they're not going to see me that often, but they are going to see that officer that's out there in the patrol car in the community. And that is a great way for him to spread information, is that, when they're out there on the call, they can let our citizens know what's going on also.
That is good. And just be able to feel comfortable to, flag them up, say, hey, how you doing? How's your day? What's going on? That's important, that our citizens know that we do have that flexibility, that ability to just have conversation, and it'll be reciprocal and good. We appreciate that, your lead in that. And I guess lastly, you provide us with a lot of information and yeah, making me even feel more proud and privileged to live in Zone 4. What would you like people to know about, I guess, you in particular and about your department that maybe you haven't shared up to this point?
So the biggest thing, and just kind of segue in on what you just said, I want people to know how accessible we are. I mean, just like you called and asked for a one-on-one, I strive to meet with anyone that wants to meet with me. They simply have to call my office assistant, set up a time in a meeting, and I'm more than willing to meet via Zoom, but also in small groups. If it's like 5 or more, I'm more than willing to come out, meet with people, tell them what we're doing, and take their feedback, but more importantly, that constructive criticism. What can the police do for you? Because we're out here fighting crime, but we're also fighting the perception of crime. So I can tell you all day, Curt, that hey man, crime is down 10% over there in the West End. But if I have one citizen who hears gunshot at night, then the perception of crime is that it's not down. And so that's what I try to address, the perception of crime. What are you seeing on your particular street? Because clearly, if you're having a problem on your street, that crime is down 10% in Zone 4. You want that issue addressed. That's what I want people to know, that I want to get to the weeds of what's going on in your community and be accessible. And like you said, I want people to know that the officers in Zone 4, they invite citizen interaction. I encourage them to get out of the patrol cars, talk to the citizens, but more importantly, I want the citizens to talk to the officer, because it has to be a two-way street. In order to bridge that gap, everyone has to meet halfway in bridging that gap. And the best way to do it is having healthy dialogue, but more importantly, honest dialogue. And if we're able to do that, I think we can identify the issues. And I'm not going to tell you that there aren't issues within law enforcement. Certainly, we see some of the challenges with law enforcement today. But what I'll tell you is that, myself, Chief Rodney Bryant, Assistant Chief Todd Coy, my Deputy Chief Tim Peake, we all look at how we can serve the citizens of Atlanta, but more importantly, how we can make them feel safe. And, there's one Atlanta, one APD, and that's kind of our motto and what we strive for here.
Well, that's just great. We we here in the community appreciate what you're doing and the accessibility. Yeah, just setting up this call with you, it was easy peasy, no problems. It was like, yeah, let's just check, make sure the schedule's good, and we'll set it up. So we definitely appreciate that. And I will be putting those links for the Twitter, the Facebook, next door, so that all the citizens can check in, see what's going on, and be well informed and involved. So again, Major, we appreciate your time, your service, and yeah, thank you for doing this interview.
It was a pleasure. I look forward to doing it again. It's great. You're being a voice for the community out there, because you know what, I can reach several people through you, and that works out great for me, because not everyone, has the, insight that you have to come forward and ask these questions. But if you push this information out, I think it'll make more people feel confident in reaching out to us saying, hey, here's some concerns I have, or just here's some questions I have about policing or about the police in general. So thank you for taking the time. Thank you for being an advocate for the police. And I look forward to us talking again in the future, Curt.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it. You definitely will. And we will get this message out there. And yeah, continue fighting the good fight.
All right. Have a good day.
All right. You too.
Bye-bye.
All right. That was our Major Carven Tyus. Carven Tyus. We appreciate his time. And if you have any questions about anything within your community, bring them to me. I can reach out. I can connect with people like the police chief. We have another one coming up with our NPU coordinator, which he mentioned. Any and all things real estate, civic, dealing with the city that you live in. We're here to help you here at Finding Home Atlanta, and we want you to have a blessed day. Thank you.